Good evening.
Good evening.
I would like to call to order. Bruce, thank you, sir. I would like to call to order the meeting of the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. Today is October 18, 2021, and the time is 3:30. Are there any comments from the commissioners, board members? Not shaking your heads. Okay, no comment. We do have a consent calendar, items 6.1 and 6.2. I will entertain a motion. Commissioner Schoaf.
Thank you, Mayor. I know we reviewed this at agenda review, but if we could on item 6.2, just give the explanation for the public.
And actually, before we do that, I should have asked Mr. Rook, are there any additions, deletions, reorganization of the agenda?
Thank you, Mayor.
One time I don't ask you is the time that you do have some. So I apologize for that. Yes.
I actually have two. First off, item 7.2. 7.2, because it has a companion item related to the lease that isn't ready yet, I would like to continue that item to November 1st so that this item and the lease can be brought together in a companion way, number one. And then number two, the last item, 7.6, Resolution 2159, it should be noted that in the backup where it says it references 2.8 million, there is one section in there that says tax increment refund amount 50% not to exceed 9,600,000. That should be 9,800,000, just to be clear in the agenda.
Okay. So we're continuing item 7.2 to November 1st and making the change in item 7.6. Right? Any other changes, additions, deletions? Any other?
That is all, Mayor. And one thing that also isn't on the agenda, but if I do have a moment, would like to introduce two new employees to the CRA.
Okay. And before we get into consent, why don't we address Commissioner Schoaf's inquiry?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Rugg, if you could, for item 6.2 on consent, is I was looking for the explanation of this being on consent agenda as it appears to be a large item, but I know it's administrative, so I just wanted to provide an explanation for the public. So, Mayor, at your direction, whether that's now or if you want to address Mr. Rugg's other issues first.
Mr. Rugg, if you want to just explain what that is.
Absolutely. So you may recall back in July 26th, summer of this year, we brought back an increase to the GMP to the Sunset Lounge project. What should have accompanied that is the F resolution that would have increased, moved the funds over to the appropriate account in order to reflect that GMP. So that's what this item does. It essentially administratively follows up with the item that was approved in July 26th that increased the amount of the GMP for the Sunset Lounge project. This is not any additional increase in that project cost. This just simply moves the money that was approved back in on July 26th.
Does that address your?
It does, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Now we have a couple of items on consent. Do I hear a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve consent.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing none. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Mr. Rugg, do you want to introduce your new staff now?
I do. Thank you, Mayor. Board members, earlier this year, there was approval to move forward with a new staffing structure and scope for the CRA contract for ongoing operations. So I'm happy to say that the first step in that process, which is identifying the deputy director, which is now a city employee, and the new fiscal manager, which is a city employee. Both have been identified and hired, and today is their first day of employment with the city of West Palm Beach. The remaining position, the administrative assistant, is still currently working through human resources. But I do want to take this opportunity to have Valerie Nielsen, who is the deputy director for the CRA, and Disa Campbell, who is the fiscal manager, to just give them an opportunity to introduce themselves to this board and let everybody know that they are now working for the city of West Palm Beach.
Welcome. Welcome, Valerie.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
From the TPA.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. It's an honor to be here, and I'm very excited to join the CRA as the Deputy Director and look forward to helping to advance the many exciting projects that are in the pipeline. So, thank you.
Welcome aboard. Thank you.
Wonderful. Disa?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Board of Commissioners. I am Disa Campbell. I am the new Fiscal Services Manager for the CRA. I am delighted to be here. I look forward to being a part of the team, and I thank Chris and the rest of you for the opportunity. I look forward to working with you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Disa is also a little, one thing to note is you are also a West Palm Beach resident, correct?
Yes, I am. Newly transplanted from the Bahamas about 18 months ago.
Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Moving on with the agenda. Item 7.1, resolution number 21-56, approving a term sheet between the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency and Nora Holdings LLC for development incentives not to exceed $3,500,000 and tax increment revenues not to exceed $11,500,000 for the development of multiple parcels in the Brailsford Park and infrastructure improvements along North Railroad Avenue. Ms. Justice.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Chris, did you want to set this up here? Or do you want to...
Mayor, Commissioners, this is a very exciting project. I know the Ned and Joe from NDT Development are with us this evening as well. We've been working on this for the better part of this year, and you may recall back during budget time, we did set aside money for this project, so we're happy to bring this forward to you today in the form of a term sheet. This will tee up a formal agreement that will be drafted by the city attorney and negotiated between us and NDT, but this is a very much a bona fide sort of bread and butter project for community redevelopment agencies, as it will be a great streetscape project for a part of the city that hasn't received investment in some time. And we're excited that what Ned and Joe are doing over there, and this is a great new step forward for the CRA. So with that, Allison's been the project manager on it, and she will go through the details.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Again, Allison Justice. My formal title as of today is Senior Associate with RMA, so no longer your Deputy Director, but still happy to be here. And as Chris mentioned, we're really excited about this project, the investment in the Brailsford Park area. I'm going to be brief, and Ned and Joe are really going to come up and talk about the project and what the future holds for the Brailsford Park district within the CRA. So this is the site location. This is Brailsford Park, which is bounded by Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, North Dixie Highway, the FEC Railroad, and then Quadrille is the south side. This picture only shows till 7th Street because this is the project boundary for right now, but the district does go to Quadrille. The developer currently owns a good deal of property, as you see. These are some of the holdings they have. They do have others, I think, that they will eventually have, but I want to make note of these properties because when we talk about the tax increment financing and we talk about any reimbursement back to the developer, it will be based on the properties that they own. So these, the entire agreement will include all of the properties that they own so that when they redevelop those properties and there's an increase in value, they're counted within the rebate that they get back as well. On this term sheet, and we will bring back, hopefully within a month or two, a couple months, depending on how long it takes us to negotiate some of the finer terms, but We have a term sheet with all of the major terms that we've all agreed to and hoping to get approval for today. So the developer responsibilities would be to design and construct North Railroad Avenue. They do already have a design. They are also working right now on the adaptive reuse of buildings along North Railroad Avenue. So they'll talk about their project phases. Their phase 1 has to do with buildings that are already there and structured that they're going to rehabilitate. And then there'll be ground-up development on vacant parcels. The project limits are on North Railroad Avenue from 7th Street to 10th Street, which is all city right-of-way. The estimated cost for construction is a total of around $17.6 million. You'll see a breakdown here of design, permitting and management, construction management. We also have the physical construction and contingency. And then, of course, since this is a payback from the CRA, there are some financing costs also involved. The CRA has agreed to a total reimbursement of $15 million. The reimbursement includes the permit fees, the construction and contingency, and part of the financing. So when we looked at the deal, the developer had already done some of the design. We didn't include some of the soft costs, and we're hoping that they develop quickly and we can get them paid back quickly, which may help them with some of their financing costs in the long run as well. The payment terms on this is a $3.5 million, $3.5 million construction reimbursement. This is budgeted. It was budgeted as part of this fiscal year. 50% of that will be returned to the developer when the infrastructure is 25% complete, and 50% when the infrastructure is 100% complete. They also have to show that they've expended a certain dollar amount, which I know won't be an issue for them. When they're 100% complete, they're going to have to have spent a significant portion of the dollars. The TIF rebate is paid on all developer-owned parcels, as I mentioned before, after phase 1 of the development is complete. So phase 1, as we mentioned, is the rehabilitation of properties, so redevelopment of some of the warehouse properties. They'll talk about their timeline a little. They're hoping to be complete on some of that by 2023, meaning we would receive, the CRA would receive taxes on that in 2024. It would be then the first part of 2024 or 5 would be paid back to the developer. So it's after the taxes are paid to the CRA, they would be reimbursed at 80% on all the properties. The duration of the 80% is year 1 through 10, and again, year 1 starts after the CRA receives their first tax payment on their redeveloped parcels. 35% years 5 through 15, or until the final $15 million is complete, which we hope, again, is sooner than the 15 years. We also, when we look at the development agreement, there's several things that we'll need to look at. One is the maintenance of the property and whose responsibility is what. The other major term that we'll need to discuss is, if the developer sells the parcels, how do we deal with transfers? How do we deal with all of that? So those are negotiating terms that, again, will be in the development agreement but aren't in the term sheet. And that is all I have. If the guys from NORA want to come up, I'll pull your presentation up here. All right, Joe.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. CRA board members, members of the City Commission. My name is Joseph First with an address of 1105 North Dixie Highway. So this is a project that we've been working on for the better part of 3+ years, and we truly believe this will be a project that reshapes and reinvigorates a part of downtown which desperately needs it. The story between us as it relates to our firms is that NDT is focused in West Palm Beach, has done a series of great projects within this market, and is really responsible for delivering vibrancy and excitement through various hospitality concepts as well as real estate projects. For me, my background is as managing partner through the Wynwood redevelopment in Miami. They were looking for somebody with some subject matter expertise and all the things that it takes to bring a neighborhood from where we're finding it, which you'll see images today, to basically a super compelling destination for the city and what we think will be a regional and national attraction. This is not analogous to Wynwood at all, but there are certain features that I do think are worth noting as it relates to public-private partnerships and the results that they create. So in Wynwood, when we started in Wynwood, it was basically a series of vacant, underutilized warehouse buildings. We created our business improvement district, which basically acted as a policy and improvement board. And through that, we did a series of amazing things, including planning and zoning changes, not too dissimilar from what we're working on here. What that led to was over 5 million visitors. Wynwood has become the second most visited destination in all of Miami-Dade County. We have over 1.6 million pay-by-phone transactions. There weren't even parking meters in this neighborhood prior to all of the development that ensued. $552 million in spending. I think very importantly for this group, the urban planner who's been working with us hand in hand with the city of West Palm Beach and Anna Maria in particular. We won the 2016 American Planning Association Award for Best Zoning Policy to Create Economic Development. Since the rezoning occurred, there's been over $1 billion of ground-up development. And most importantly, it went from an area that had virtually 0 jobs, maybe a total of 100 jobs, to there being more than 7,500 local jobs created. And that's before all of the ground-up office that's been built, which is now about another 1 million square feet. So there's been another 6,000 plus jobs on the way to that market. Our project consists of 3 main components. We're here talking today about the infrastructure and streetscape. To do that, again, the first piece is we need to create an infrastructure that allows this neighborhood to flourish and grow. Secondly, we need to renovate and adaptively reuse all the existing buildings along North Railroad Avenue. And then lastly, we have a master plan that we've gone through Downtown Action Committee last week, Planning Board tomorrow. They'll be coming in front of the City Commission in the months to come. Here's an overview to familiarize yourselves, though I think, of course, you know where this is, but we have Palm Beach Lakes Bridge to the north, Quadrille to the south, the FEC to the west, and North Dixie to the east. Here's an overview shot. All the properties in this image are owned by us as Nora Holdings, as the developer. So that is 117,000 square feet of existing commercial buildings that are primarily vacant, with the exception of a few industrial and storage users. And we also own all of the parcels on the east side of the road, which are currently used as storage lots and makeshift parking lots. Here are some of the existing conditions. So we have a series of overhead power lines. We have a insufficient water and sewer network, insufficient storm drains, and you can see again the vacancy and the lack of utilization on the parcels on the east side of the road. Where we're going is like this, and we'll get into more detail this in the coming slides. But most importantly, we're going to a curbless street, 14-foot sidewalks, both on the east and the west side of the road. And I think most notably in terms of public benefit, gathering space, and really enhancing the public realm, we also have a linear park running down the east side of North Railroad Avenue, which you can see depicted in the rendering on the right. In terms of what we're trying to do, we want this to be a regional destination. We want it to be the go-to place. There's amazing projects already within downtown West Palm, but we think that we have an offering given the high character industrial buildings, the location and proximity to Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, and of course Palm Beach Island, that we think makes this a very compelling destination. And our focus is going to be to bring a series of vibrancy creating tenants, a mix of food and beverage, creative office, and really lifestyle retail to make this a district that's thriving from morning to night. Very specifically, we have, again, utilities that don't work for the future uses of these buildings. So right now there's a 6-inch asbestos water line under the road. That'll be replaced with a new 12-inch water line. We'll be constructing all new sewer improvements. As I mentioned earlier, the undergrounding of all electrical and telecommunications. We'll be doing the curbless sidewalks to create more accessibility in a far enhanced public realm. We'll also be adding about 100 parking spaces to the east side of North Railroad Avenue. And I think aesthetically, as you can see from the renderings, we want to create a place that's an absolute destination for people of all ages, demographics to come and have an experience that doesn't even require them to purchase something within the retail establishment. It's a place that they can come and have a destination just to hang out and be part of a great project. So as Allison alluded to earlier, our total budget for infrastructure improvements and streetscape is about $17.5 million. The deal that we have in front of you today is for $15 million of reimbursement through the TIF. I will get in on a later slide to exactly how those economics work, but basically our timeline is we're currently in for permit on all of the infrastructure work. We have permit sets ready for a portion of our adaptive reuse buildings. Our hope is to get through and start construction in 2022 with delivery in 2023. We will also then start working on our first ground-up development project with hopes of breaking ground on that in late 2023, early 2024. And those ground-up development projects that are all predicated on the zoning that will also be in front of you for your review are really essential for the payback and the economic development that gets created through the new construction. On the planning and zoning side, I know Anna Maria is here today. I think this has been the most collaborative, thoughtful, comprehensive plan that I've ever had the opportunity to work on, and I commend your staff for their hard work and dedication to this. Effectively, what we are trying to do is to create a truly diverse, mixed neighborhood of different housing and different retail opportunities. So the intent is to preserve the form and the character of the primarily residential streets between 8th and 10th, whilst allowing more capacity and more development on the streets north of 10th Street. As you'll see in additional pictures, there's some slum, there's some blight, and there's primarily vacant parcels that need to be redeveloped. These are the conditions that exist north of 10th Street. Again, we own every parcel north of 10th Street and west of Madeira, with the exception of one single parcel. This is primarily what we have. The existing in-place FAR on these parcels is 1. And the reason why that's relevant, as you'll see in future hearings related to the zoning, is that the additional FAR that is coming through on a comprehensive plan and zoning change is all through the incentive program of downtown West Palm Beach. And the reason why that is so relevant is in a city that has such explosive growth and clearly has an affordability crisis, all FAR that gets transferred to build the capacity that we're working towards will all be subject to, or 1 million plus square feet of that will be subject to the affordability requirements that this board has already passed or the city commission has already passed. So this is a true opportunity for mixed income housing in a city that will desperately need it. In terms of the intent of the master plan, it's again to create what we call gradual transitional zoning. So the lowest piece that you see here are the streets between 8th and 10th Street. That remains in its current form. We are also creating the opportunity for those individual homeowners to transfer their unused FAR into the development pool further to the north. As you can see, starting at 10th Street, we create this gradual zoning. So on the north side of 10th Street, there will be a 3-story requirement that then it requires a step back to go up to the additional 5 stories for a total of 8, and then we continue to transition up as we get closer to Palm Beach Lakes Bridge to 15 stories, and in the northwestern corner where we are at the peak of the bridge at about 50 feet, there will be allowance for a 20-story building at that location. This is a sketch that really depicts what we're describing. So as you can see, the brightened area in the center, that's the streets and the section of the neighborhood really between 8th and 10th. That's where, again, there are no changes to the zoning to create any more intensity at all or any more capacity. Everything happens north of 10th Street, which, as you see in this next slide, is highlighted here. As I mentioned earlier, this is basically the TIF schedule that we used alongside the CRA, and I think this is a very telling feature. So just in the adaptive reuse element of the project, there is going to be $20+ million of hard cost, and the entire project cost, including the acquisitions of the buildings, the streetscape, et cetera, is about a $125 million project. So the ask here today is to get, again, a TIF reimbursement for $15 million of that project cost, specifically and only related to the infrastructure improvements, not related in any way, shape, or form to the private dollars that are going into the real estate assets on the east and the west side of the road. If you look in the column on the far left that has the greens, those are hard cost construction numbers related to ground up construction that would be happening immediately following the zoning through and permitting and entitlement process. And as you can see, this isn't even the full build out of the capacity that would be allowed, but using a number of $325 million of additional construction to deliver all of the buildings that we're mentioning in the 10 acres of land north of 10th Street, it creates a total new tax base of an additional $91 million. And then when you deduct the rebate paid back to us as the developer for fronting the capital for the infrastructure improvements, it's a net return to the city of $75 million of new tax base over the lifetime of the CRA. In summary, our goal is 4 points. It's to revitalize an underutilized part of downtown. It's to create new commercial offerings and enhance public space. It's to convert industrial relics into contemporary community assets. And it's to provide diverse housing to support the growth of downtown West Palm Beach. Thank you very much.
Very good. Ms. Justice, you have more?
That completes our presentation. We're happy to answer any questions.
All right, excellent. Board members, any questions at this time? Commissioner Fox.
Thank you for the presentation. This is such an exciting opportunity for our city. I'm really looking forward to it. And I noticed that you just walked over and handed some documents to the clerk. And it was something we talked about earlier today about how much support you had for this project. I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about, what you've done to talk to the neighbors and the support you've received.
Sure. So here's an additional slide. So basically there are 150 unique property folios within the area that we're describing as North Railroad Avenue. We have support letters from 127 of those, I believe. The ones that we don't have highlighted are not people that do not support us. They're absentee owners and people that we have not been able to get in touch with. So as it relates to having what I would like to think is an overwhelming amount of support for not just the infrastructure upgrades and improvements that we're describing, also the rezoning initiatives, we think we've done as good of a job as we can in covering those bases.
Follow up. Commissioner Shove.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. First, I just wanted to clarify through some of the presentation. I think this is a wonderful addition to the North End, and very selfishly, I like that it continues to have development towards the north end of our neighborhoods. As I was looking through the slides, I think there was a slide there that gave the total project cost of $125 million. Plus the 17 million would be a total of about 142 million. So it looks like this is a request for about 11% of the project cost.
Yeah, just to be specific, I don't think there's a slide that speaks to it, but in terms of the acquisition cost, the hard and soft cost of construction, et cetera, related to all of the buildings and the streetscape improvements, it's a total cost of about $125 million.
Okay, so then it goes down to about 13%, or goes up to about 13%.
The ask, the $17.5 million budget that was presented on the page is specific only to infrastructure and streetscape, of which there's a $15 million request of the $17.6 million through TIF reimbursements that are obviously generated through this project.
Sure, and so, overall, it's a smaller percentage of the entire project that is being asked for infrastructure improvements, correct?
Correct, and actually those infrastructure improvements, even though they are being done along North Railroad Avenue, they actually create a tie-in to the other infrastructure that exists throughout the district, so it also further enables and assists the ground-up development to occur north of 10th Street.
Sure, and so this goes to infrastructure only, which in lieu of having any development here, the city of West Palm Beach would be responsible for the maintenance of this road anyway, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so essentially what this does is help amplify the investment that's being made by private development and helps the city along, I guess. In exchange, on the TIF slide, I think there was a slide that talked about the total of the TIF. So currently it gives the base, this slide. So it gives the base of what TIF will be produced. And so of that, it looks like there's the 11.5 that comes out for this, but still in addition over a number of years, understandably, but really illustrates the incremental tax revenue that will be created besides this. So it sounds like it's really amplified. I didn't do the percentage on that. But given those numbers and how it's laid out here, I think it's a great opportunity for us to partner. So thanks for bringing it forward.
Thank you. And Commissioner, just, on this sheet and on these projections, this is why we project these things out. Just, obviously we're very conservative about it as well, but they show really what, the benefit to the city in the long run on this, and it also gives some motivation and to the developer to move forward and really complete this project. So.
Well, and thanks to you, Allison, for all the work that you've done on this, and to the CRA for bringing these deals forward. I think what's particularly important about the TIF financing is exactly what you spoke to. Until the developer acts, there's no incentive that's produced. They're essentially producing their own incentive, but at the same time, it's an incentive to the city of West Palm Beach in that we get incremental tax revenue. So thank you very much for bringing this forward.
Go back 2 slides, please. Where are you thinking about putting a lot? Two questions. One is, how do you address the issue of preventing gentrification? And then secondly, where on this map will you have a lot of the workforce housing? Where will that be located?
Right, so in terms of gentrification, this is a unique situation whereby there's a handful of single owners that actually own most of the real property south of 10th Street and north of 8th Street. The other benefit that we have here is that, again, we are not changing the underlying zoning or future land use of any of those parcels. So this is not a situation where south of 10th Street and north of 8th Street that we're creating a whole host of new entitlements that allow for basically redevelopment. As it relates to the area north of 10th Street, which is what's highlighted now, again, we own, that's a 10-acre assemblage that we already control. It is primarily made up of vacant parcels and dilapidated structures, which is that's where these images are taken, as well as I'm sure you're aware, under the bridge, the Palm Beach Lakes Bridge, there is a lot of crime, there's drug use, there's all sorts of things that are not accretive to the growth of the city underneath this bridge. So as it relates to the mixed income requirements, again, because of the work that the City Commission has already done with the affordability requirement, our in-place FAR here is only plus or minus about 500,000 square feet. The zoning and the work that we're doing would lead to a capacity of about 1.75 million square feet. So for every square foot that comes into this neighborhood, including internal transfers, which we'll get into more detail when we actually are doing the zoning presentation, all of those are subject to the 20% affordability requirement. So when we think, as you as policymakers and us as private sector developers, about an opportunity to truly create an exemplary project nationally for how to encourage new development, redevelopment, and create an affordability requirement, I know it's early to say this, but I think that this will be a national example of how to do it thoughtfully, constructively, with a great main street to boot.
Okay, great. Commissioner Warren, do you have anything?
Of the space that we're looking at, Joe, are there any, do you know the number of people, if there are any, that will be displaced as a result of this?
Yeah, so again, we own all of those properties already. We have a handful of renters that are in place on a month-to-month basis. And again, there is one single parcel that we do not own within our 10-acre parcel. So it is literally less than a handful of individuals. And again, they are, many of these structures look exactly like you see them, and they're unsafe structures and they're hardly habitable.
Follow up?
There was a great response, Joe, but I was looking to see if you had an answer more specific about the number of people that, I know that you do own the property.
Yep.
But do we know the number of people that may be transitioned from this space as the project?
I think it's less than 5, but Ned, how many? We can get you the exact number, but it's definitely less than 10. I think it's more in the 5 to 6 range.
And how many parcels are there?
There are 150 parcels.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Shove.
Thank you, Mayor. To the mayor's question and Commissioner Warren's question, I kind of wanted to go back to some previous meetings that we've had about the Nora district, because I know one of the things that came up out of that for the North End specifically, as we're all very concerned about the gentrification of areas, throughout this area, the TDR program that's extended through the neighborhoods, I think is particularly important. And I just want to confirm through that, the TDR program as it exists for the residential properties will allow the residential properties to sell their excess capacity, but those dollars have to be reinvested into their home. So it is in fact a way for them to get additional revenue to invest in their homes to be able to stay in place within the neighborhoods that are there, understanding the vacant parcels that you own. But I'm just talking about, the improvements you're making to the neighborhood may cause unintentional consequences to some extent, but there is a mechanism that allows for current homeowners to reinvest in their properties and therefore stay in place. And do I remember that correctly? I don't know if Ms. Justice, you want to answer that, or anybody from the TDR side?
I'm going to have Anna Maria come up
Okay,
for that
thank you.
question.
Good afternoon, Ana Maria Upon, the City Urban Designer. Commissioner, we are working on those details, but yes, we are identifying specific properties within the core of the neighborhood that are remaining. Those houses will have the potential of sell their unused development capacity and use those funds for whatever they decide they want to do.
When you say whatever they decide they want to do, it has to be used on the property, though.
No, that it will function, we haven't finalized the regulation, but it functions basically as any other TDR program within the downtown. They have to complete certain improvements, basic improvements to their property for being able to make the property eligible to transfer the TDRs. But after that, if those improvements are completed, any additional funds that they can get, they can use it for additional things that they want on the property or use it for whatever they want.
Okay, so I just want to clarify, because the TDR program, as I understand it, gives dollars based upon selling excess development capacity to be reinvested in the property. So if I'm a resident and I participate in the TDR program, I finish the renovations I have to my property, and then I can buy a new car with my TDR money?
If your property is already, you have done all the improvements required to be able to designate the property,
Okay.
and you fix the roof that was leaking and paint the house that was chipped, and all those improvements that are required as part of the designation, any additional funds that you get, you can do whatever you want.
Okay, but the property has to be improved first.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that was the mechanism, and now it's kind of even more amplified because it does provide essentially an income source to residents that currently live within the neighborhood districts. If they've completed the needed improvements, then there's excess income for them too, so it's actually an income generator.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this item? We do have a couple of cards, Scott Lewis and Susan Stecknage. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Scott?
Good afternoon. This is Scott Lewis. I've got bookends on both sides of this, up on 14th Street and down on 6th Street. For some of you that may not know, I was born in Good Sam. I was a CRA chairman and founder in Westgate in 1988 for 5 years. I understand the purpose of your CRA. I cannot encourage you enough to support this project. It's a great leap to connect the downtown with the Northwood area. And I am particularly interested personally for our safety and our goodwill up in the north end, because as you know, last Thursday afternoon, my crews were coming in and a dozen gunshots went off on Spruce. We have the constant problem under the bridge, a terrible problem. I've got a drive-through hooker site with office chairs set up in a vacant lot a block from my business. Please consider this, support it strongly. I like what they're doing. It makes great use of your TIF money. It encourages redevelopment and growth in a really badly slighted, blighted area. It needs it, and you all need to pay attention to this neighborhood because it is your linchpin to connect the city and let it move north successfully in a good way that this commission has supported. And I really want to hopefully encourage that you continue on future support of this as they look forward towards the future of the city and a great place we live to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan
Steckney.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Susan Steckney. I live at 411 8th Street. 411 8th Street is exactly half a mile from Clematis Street. The library, Mandel Library, is 411 Clematis. So if you use your odometer, it's half a mile. If you go from Clematis half a mile south, you'll find fabulous, wonderful buildings, everything desirable. And this can happen now in our direction. So now all the development isn't just south, but it also comes north. It's so close to downtown. It's 2 blocks from the water. It's a wonderful location. And I'm so happy that this is a comprehensive plan for the neighborhood. It could have just been developers coming and developing those empty lots without any intention of looking at the whole. So this is a wonderful project, and we're all excited. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do have another card. Darren Studstill.
Darren Studstill, 401 North Rosemary Avenue. I don't know if I missed this part. I just want to know about the opportunities for minority participation in this project, what it looks like, what's the goal, and have we had a conversation on it? Also, when this project is going up, just the conversation on how the community, I don't know if we talked to Coleman Park, the Pleasant City area on the opportunities on how we can build in opportunities for work as we build this project. I don't know if we had that, but I'm just asking the commission if you would make sure that that's included as we move forward.
Did the applicant want to speak to that at all, or Ms. Justice?
Mayor, Commissioners, I will respond and have, give Joe the opportunity to respond as well. We do have some provisions, some minor provisions in the term sheet that will be worked out in the development agreement as far as minority participation. Obviously, we know that this is important. We have not had a chance to really work through the details of what parts of the construction. Obviously, we know there's infrastructure construction, there's redevelopment, and then there's ground up development. So as part of this agreement, there will be terms lined out for what kind of participation, and I will turn that over to Joe to see what they've already kind of done.
Yeah, just to add to that, in reviewing the term sheet, which I'm sure you have in your package, that is a material term of the term sheet as its own specific item, which is to work with the head of economic development within the city to ensure that we employ minority and women-owned businesses as part of our development and project. And we're absolutely honored to commit that.
Very good. Okay, those are all the cards. Any other Commissioner Show?
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for clarifying that. As this project, I know, will fall under private development and not under city contract, does it not have the requirements of the disparity study?
It will not, because it is a private development, but our development agreement can control that. That's how we would look at that participation, because they're not using city contractors to do this, it's private contractors.
Understood, and hearing that is the intent of the developer and the intent of the CRA, if we could, mimic what those requirements are, I think that should be at least the starting guideline, and I know every effort will be made to meet and exceed those. But, certainly when it comes to getting the agreement to the letter of the law, I think we need to make sure that we're lining it out in written out terms. So thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No more cards here. I don't have any other comments. I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 21-56.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing none. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.2, Mr. Roog, you need a motion to continue to the date certain? I'm seeing
Yes,
the
Mayor,
city attorney shake her head.
7.2.
What?
Or, I'm sorry, November 1st, excuse me.
So you do need a motion to continue. All right, let me read it into the record. 7.2, Resolution number 21-57, approving a second amendment to the Transit Village Incentive Agreement to extend the deadline for commencement of vertical construction to July 13th, 2024. And I will need a motion for continuing this until November 1st, 2021.
Mayor, I move to continue this item to November 1st.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Now, does this change the extension date?
It does not.
Okay, all right, just making sure. Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, item 7.3, resolution number 2158, approving the letter of intent for Project Rocket, offering incentives totaling $60,000 for the creation of 20 jobs in the downtown city center district. Mr.
Mayor,
Wu?
yes. So Gina Baker is going to run the PowerPoint for me. This was a project that I worked on with the Economic Development Director, Rebecca De La Rosa, and the Business Development Board of Palm Beach County. It's another project that aims to bring more high-paying jobs to the city of West Palm Beach. Next slide. So this will be really brief. You've seen this many times before. We've been doing this project and had a very successful year. I'll just go over a quick overview, talk about the terms, and then happy to answer any questions that you may have. So as a quick overview, we've been targeting financial services now for the better part of, I would say, 5 or 6 years. And even as such, we have now begun to really grow the Flagler Financial District, which is actually beginning to sort of morph and change, and now has this nickname of Wall Street South. It's becoming very, very popular. The mayor has set a very ambitious challenge by the end of the year because we've had such a successful year, and it includes several of the projects that have already been approved by this body. Project Rocket is the latest addition to that, with Rebecca also now working on Project Adamite, which is a pending project that we're very excited about to bring you in the future. And as such, this is a main driver for the University of Florida, bringing in more talent to supply these companies with additional talent and workforce. And not only that, is having to build on sort of the next round of growth with what is in the development pipeline. I did a quick calculation with Anna Maria Ponte, and we have almost 1.2 million in the pipeline currently in our development services. So going into the letter of intent, the first item is that this is relocation and development. We're very excited about this company coming in from the Midwest and considering the city of West Palm Beach in our downtown. It's 20 jobs, so the grant amount is not to exceed $60,000. Average salary is $280,000. So you can see that these are continue to be substantial jobs that are coming to the city on a regular basis, and they are full-time positions that will be housed in the downtown. And then that $60,000 is broken out over $3,000 per job on a reimbursement basis, and we even spread that out a little bit further so that that $60,000 is spread out over a 4-year period to sort of just make sure that we're not doing it all in 1 year, and we have make it a little bit easier on the accounting method. In addition, if they need it, expedited permit review is also being offered in case that more than likely they will need some type of permits to renovate any office space or anything that they might need there. And then, of course, the accountability is in place with the reporting that they do have to show, evidencing that the jobs have been created and that they're retained on a regular basis. And the CEO of the company did sign this letter of intent on September 16th, 2021. So with that, where we currently stand is prior to this, we were at 925 jobs. With Project Rocket, we are now at 945 jobs, which is great. And this is located in the city center district. And last button, Gina, happy to answer any questions that you all have. And of course, can't thank the BDB enough with all their hard work. They continue to bring us great projects that we're happy to participate in that continue to grow the financial services in the city of West Palm Beach.
Very good. Questions? None? We don't have any cards, so I will entertain a motion. Oh, okay. Commissioner Fox.
Thank you so much, Chris, for continuing to bring us these opportunities. I just had a quick question. I'm wondering, I know that the incentive is for the 20 new jobs. I'm just curious, We don't talk about it a lot, but are these companies, when they're coming, is it that they're creating 20 new jobs, or are they also bringing staff with them from the Midwest that might be relocating here as well?
It could be a little bit of both. Some of them do offer relocations for some of their employees, but those are still new positions that they are bringing into the state. But a lot of time they are looking at the existing talent pipeline, which was a big reason why we were so excited about the University of Florida. And I think even the University of Florida recognized that need, that even though these companies are expanding and relocating into the city of West Palm Beach, that it's we need to maintain that talent pipeline. People shift, they take on other job opportunities, and it is really critical if we're going to maintain this financial cluster to have that regular pipeline of talent, which is why our university system is so critical to our continued success.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 21-58.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. Discussion. All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.4, resolution number 21-9, approving 1, the purchase of the property located at 311 North Sapodilla Avenue for an amount not to exceed $300,000, and 2, the lease and lease back of the property to Nivea A. and Fritz John Louise for use as a restaurant with an option to repurchase. Ms. Rue?
Thank you, Mayor, City Commissioner, Mayor and Commissioners. This is a project that we have been at for some time now, and have budgeted for this coming season. Aims to assist small and minority-owned businesses that are in the historic Northwest. Gina Baker is the project manager. She's happy to get into the details of this project, but it's very exciting because it also includes a historic preservation component, as well as the opportunity to add another great business to our downtown. And I believe that we also have Fritz and Nivea with it. Are they here?
Thank you, Chris.
Great.
So I'll begin with a few opening remarks. This project, in my view, is the closest and most direct example of the agency's missions, goals, and objectives. It also will be a representation of a significant exterior historic preservation project in the Northwest District. The project is being brought forward this afternoon for consideration under the Relocation and Development Incentive Program, which is designed to support difficult redevelopment projects that cannot be accommodated under other CRA programs. And since all development obstacles cannot be anticipated, the program allows for flexibility to choose from a variety of options to facilitate projects that would not otherwise happen without the assistance of this agency. The objective of the program is to ensure property development continues in the neighborhood, including rehab and restoration of existing buildings. Also to assist property owners in obtaining the highest and best use of vacant and underutilized or semi-occupied properties. Of course, to eliminate slum and blight, and of course, to attract private investment into the district. This project further meets the objectives outlined and complies with the basis for qualification. Specifically, this project is in the Northwest District, which is part of the downtown core target area. It will increase property value, tax base, and TIF dollars. The renovation should spur additional development and encourage others to make private investment. The renovation will have a substantial visual impact on the corner. The project should create about 4 to 5 full-time jobs, which is a bonus. It will eliminate a vacant storefront, and last but not least, it will bring a business into the district that has a successful track record. So the Relocation and Development Assistance Program will afford for historic restoration and rehab, as well as a restaurant build-out of the existing building. The program activities will include, of course, financial assistance for that tenant build-out, a repair of the architectural elements on the exterior of the building. It will incentivize use of a vacant storefront. It will add exterior doors, windows, and also include new landscaping, parking lot improvements, lighting, as well as a decorative pavement element. The CRA will purchase this property and lease it back with a buyback option, and the project cost is not to exceed $1,864,553. The property, again, is located in the downtown historic Northwest District, which is just north of the downtown core, and is illustrated by the big X on this particular slide. It is located at the corner of 3rd and Sapodilla Avenue, which is directly across the street from a very new and anticipated project called the Grand. The Grand is a 287-unit mixed-use income housing, workforce housing development with a retail wrap. We fully anticipate those residents will probably frequent often and imbibe on the good food as well as the cocktails that will be generated from this project. As with all CRA projects, unfortunately, there is an extensive timeline from birth to implementation, and this one is no exception. Mr. and Mrs. John Louis purchased the property back in July of 2000. Their first attempt at a grant was a facade and exterior grant back in 2011. For various and in different reasons, it never went forward in the project, or the funds were never dispersed. In 2014, I came along and poked my nose into their business, and I began negotiations and tried to encourage them to do a full restoration and restaurant build-out. Along the way, I had to win the hearts and mind and the trust of these particular grantees, and I think I've successfully done so. Correlating into in 2017, when we brought forward Resolution 17-48, and that's when you all, as a board, authorized us to begin the design concepts with Mr. and Mrs. John Louis. Fast forward to 2020, we completed a initial term sheet, went out to bid. I have to add for the record that we ended up going out to bid 3 times on this project, and that is in part due to bureaucracy, but more important, a thing called a pandemic, called coronavirus. And now here we are tonight, or this afternoon, to seek final approval from this board for this project, and I'm extremely excited. Let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about the grantee. Fritz Jean Louis, I think I pronounced his name correctly. Fritz is an executive chef who has worked in the Palm Beach Chesterfield Hotel. He's worked at the Colony Palm Beach Hotel and the Brazilian Court Hotel, to name a few. Fritz opened Fritz's Cafe in 1999, and then he transitioned the name to Fantasy Island in 2004. In 2018, Fritz purchased the Newport Diner, which is located in a strip shopping center on Forest Hill Boulevard. It is still operating and employing several waitstaff, line cooks, and dishwashers, even through the perilous times of an unprecedented pandemic. When all the restaurants were shut down, Fritz got very busy and started cooking for the community. Newport Diner partnered with True Fast Ministry as well as Queen of Sheba to feed the Northwest Historic District during the beginning months of this horrible pandemic. Both Mr. and Mrs. Jean Louis has been working, living, and advocating for the historic Northwest community for over 21 years. And they are indeed in the audience this evening, and I would hope the board would allow them, should they like, at the end of this presentation, to make some final closing remarks. Now I'm going to just parlay into the historic significance of the building. This is a representation of the Sanborn map from 1924. In the right corner is a depiction of the building footprint as it exists today, with 2 shotgun residences to the south. What's interesting about the Sanborn map as well is that they also show Friendship Baptist Church, which is still there and operating today. But I want to bring to your attention the parens. It says colored. Even in 1924, we're still making a depiction between black and white churches. I just thought I'd bring that to your attention. Next slide is pretty interesting. This one depicts an advertisement. At that time, it was called the Seminole Hotel, and again, in parens, it's a colored hotel. And what they chose to advertise is they were renting rooms at $1, up to $1 per day. And one of the amenities, which they chose to highlight in this particular ad, is running water in each room, and they all had their own private baths. thought that was pretty interesting, circa 1932. The second one to the right is the first edition advertisement in what was then the local Negro weekly publication known as the Palm Beach Tribune. The Tribune itself was housed in this building at that time in circa 1934. This particular slide is highlighting the current name, the Bowser Inn, which we are quite familiar with and what is in the city record in the Historic Preservation Department. This slide is a publication by First National Bank paying tribute to Daniel Bowser, who was a participant in bond purchases for the war, and the location was ultimately named the Bowser Inn, as he was the owner and proprietor at that time. This slide is a depiction of the building facade in circa 1942, published in another well-known publication known as The Crisis. And this facade illustrates, will be an illustration of what the final restoration will look like. In fact, we're using that as a benchmark. The young lady in the lower left is me in my past life. I'm just kidding. I wanted to see if they were paying attention to me. This final slide, again, is taken from the Florida Master File. The one on the lower left is a picture of the building in 1989, and then on the right is a picture of the building in 2008. That's roughly 19 years, and the only significant change in this structure is a street improvement on the east and north side of the building. What's poignant is the first floor appears and seems to be completely vacant and underutilized. If we fast forward today to 2021, another 13 years, combined total 32 years, this building has been functionally obsolete and underutilized, and it certainly has not been used to its highest and best use. I would hope that this board and their considerations changes that trend. And with that, I'm going to move in and let Mr. Zamar Brown, who is the architect of record for this project, come up and give you an outline of the scope of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Zamar Brown, owner and principal architect of Design to Form. Address is 2001.
Hold on, sure. Just advance using that.
Address is 2001 Tyler Street, Suite number 2, Hollywood, Florida. And to take you into thank you. So to kind of just give you a brief synopsis on 311 North Sapodilia. So we have two main goals or objectives for this particular project, which includes the complete historic restoration of the exterior of the building in addition to preserving the architectural features. And then secondly, the interior build out of a Caribbean/Spanish fusion restaurant, which is coined as Fantasy Island, and in addition to which will have an interior and exterior dining area, bar, and to be able to accommodate 150 seats. Gina spoke on several of these particular improvements, but I'll pick out a couple. So basically, we're doing new parking spaces, 6-foot privacy wall towards the west, grease trap, trash enclosure, removal of the non-historical mansard canopy. In addition to that, new impact windows and doors, awnings, private dining area, a full kitchen and commercial suppression system, in addition to handicap restrooms and mechanical electrical improvements. This is the photo of the building from 3rd and South W. The north side of the building from 3rd Street. The rear of the building looking from the west, looking towards the east, which is where the exterior dining area is going to be built out. And then in addition to that, looking for the third, showing that rear area of the building as well. So to kind of just take you as far as bringing you into the floor, to the site plan, the coral color is the building structure as it exists today. The purple area is where we're adding on to the exterior dining area. And then the two darker gray buildings are the two cottage buildings that exist today that we are not touching. And then just above that in a lighter gray is where the parking space is, and in addition to that, the trash enclosure. So down here at the lower right-hand corner in the yellow is where we have the entrance of the lobby that's taking you into the restaurant. We have an 1,100 square feet restaurant on the interior. And then on the exterior, which is in the purple, is where we have 1,000 square feet exterior dining area. And on the left-hand side is where we have the kitchen, which is in the green, and also the public restrooms in the blue. On the second floor, currently there are 2 particular units, residential units that will remain. We are doing some minor modification, as there was a center stair that took you from the second floor down. We're removing that center stairwell and also increasing the blue unit on the right-hand side slightly as we enclose that stairwell. Currently, you have the east and west elevation, and the top elevation shows the green canopy in which the covered exterior dining will be built out. And then flanking or the perimeter of that particular dining area will have planters and landscaping to kind of also give it a screen. And then on this, the bottom elevation provides you the front elevation of the building, in which Gina showed you a more historical photo which we're mimicking as we bring back the historical remnants of the building. And then last but not least, the north and south elevation showing the facade, the replacement of the windows, and in addition to that, the canopy for the dining area. That's it.
And because of time, we're going to bring Mr. Traeger up just to give you a quick overview of the
Very quick,
terms.
because we still have some more items on the agenda.
Rob Traeger, the real estate manager for the CRA. Just to go over some of the project costs, as you can see, our purchase price is roughly $275,000 based on the current mortgage. Hard construction costs about $1.2 million, soft costs about $170,000, roof repair $19,000, and then a contingency factored in for the hard construction costs totaling $1.864,553.72. Then you can see our project income incentives based on the TDR sale, which is $267,205, the tenant buyback, which is $1.225,371, and then our incentive which is $371,977.72, equaling $1.864,553.72. For the tenant to lease back and purchase the building back from us, their price will not exceed $1.225,371,000. The schedule will be a 25-year term at the maximum. In the rents, the buyback monthly payment schedule will be years 1 through 5, which is $2,300 a month plus applicable taxes and insurance at a minimum. Years 6 through 25, a minimum of $4,511.27 plus applicable taxes and insurance. And the tenant can pay more than these minimums to buy down their purchase amount. Total project cost again is $1.864,553.72, which includes our purchase and the renovation costs. And the total grants and incentives again are $639,182.72. Thank you.
With that, we ask that the board approve Resolution 21-9 and the Center District, CR District Center, City Center, Commission District 3, I believe, for Christy Fox, correct? Thank you.
All right.
Will you entertain the grantees or?
No, let's get through the business first. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
We're
you
done.
for your presentation. Any questions or comments from Board Commissioner Shove?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for looking at creative projects. I think there's a lot of positives in this project: historic preservation, small business development, food service in a neighborhood that doesn't already have one, and additional hope for private investment, which is the goal of the CRA. As I look at what the costs are, there is another cost in here that I don't see anywhere, which is if the CRA is purchasing this property and then renovating it you are managing the renovation. So that requires some staff time and staff hours with consultants, et cetera. Is that accounted for anywhere here in the pricing that we're looking at?
Yes. Yes, it is. Let me just get that to you real quick. So the architectural costs include construction administration. We're estimating about 199 hours for that. And there's about $40,000 that's set aside for the administration on the construction side. For staff, that would be me and Andy. We calculated at about $200 an hour. About half of that time it's probably going to take for us. And that's built into the contingency, which is just a little inflated, and those costs are covered.
Okay, so in the pricing that we have, everything is inclusive in this 1.8 total project cost.
We hope that will come in a little less as we have gotten a lower bid. So I think we're going to have some savings there.
And so as we look at this program, I mean, $639,000 worth of benefits is a large amount of benefit. And so I don't anticipate that this would be the last applicant that would come in to take an advantage of a program like this. What is our capacity to fund programs like this and to be essentially the construction manager on historic preservation projects?
I'll defer to Mr. Rook, but my initial response is that there are very few that will probably meet the criteria as I outlined for this particular project as we look at the neighborhood specifically. And all CRA dollars are based on availability. And Chris, if you want to cover it.
Yeah, I would probably add to it that it needs to be looked at on a project-by-project basis. If you would, because right now we have the Sunset Lounge, which is obviously coming in for completion, and then starting this project. And then we also have the Mickens Moore project. And I would probably say at that point, we're probably at capacity unless we bring on more staff in order to help us with it. But as we get into the project, we'll know a lot more and be able to reassess capacity as we get into some of these projects. But if I would probably wouldn't want to bite off any more than maybe 3 or 4 at a time.
Thank you. And certainly when we look at projects like the Sunset Lounge and, 314 Clematis, those are projects that we purchase, we own the building, and then they're sold back at market rate. I understand the need in this particular instance. Here we have a landowner that's been here generationally, part of the neighborhood, et cetera. I just want to be mindful as we look forward at programs. Part of the thing that we're up here charged with doing is to be fair. And so, typically, again, we would take this, renovate it, put it back out at market rate. I think one of the hidden incentives in here as well is that this building is being sold back at current rates. So the appreciation of the building improvements, whatever cost that is, will be of benefit to the owner. And again, this is what CRAs do. We take on projects that are not market driven, but I think if we continue down this road, it probably warrants a program of a revolving loan fund. Certainly I think from a small business owner's capacity, it is very difficult to put out this amount of capital and further this level of expertise. The construction management components of this, I think, is just as important for a lot of reasons. So I guess as we look at this going forward, I guess I would like us to look at it in a more organized fashion and understanding that you're dealing with the tools that you're dealing with. Our program that we are qualifying under today is kind of the miscellaneous program. So whatever isn't covered by current CRA programs falls under this, but if this model gets in and it works and it's functioning and fulfilling the goals of the CRA, then perhaps it's worth a second look to say, is there an organized structure so that we can ensure that we're being fair across the board and that we are, really putting funds in that amplify those funds. I'd certainly be supportive of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Warren.
Hi, I'd just like to say that as I look at all of the development projects that come before the city, I'm delighted to see people that have been stakeholders in a community that has been often overlooked for such a long period of time. The Jean Louise family has been in the Northwest neighborhood, have been active and participating and on every level in the Northwest neighborhood as a resident and small business landlord. as a business owner, as residents themselves, participated on neighborhood cleanups. They've just simply done everything. So my opinion of what we do is to be able to support people in the community that have a desire to redevelop, as well as supporting the people that are outside of the community that are coming in. So this is a great opportunity to support an existing business. This is a great opportunity to combat what may be perceived as gentrification, where the support goes to those that are from the outside coming in. I'm looking forward to Mr. and Mrs. Jean Louise being in a position to establish some wonderful things from this point with their property. I'm looking forward to them maintaining this property and this not being something that the costs make it impossible for them to keep. I am hopeful that we will provide the amount of support that is necessary based specifically on the needs of this particular project, and that as opportunities present themselves for others that own property in the Northwest neighborhood, that we can consider how we can support them so that their business can thrive as well.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, we do have a card. Darren Studstill.
Darren Studstill, 401 North Rosemary. I just want to also echo the encouragements of the staff as we be creative, well, we are creative in the Northwest. My question is, I just want to make sure, I'm asking this to Gina or Chris, to make sure as we go and we disperse funds in the neighborhood, that we know to other property owners what is the gauge, how many funds we have left, so we can bring other property owners in. You know, our goal should be to every, because we don't have that many, property owner that is still existing in that neighborhood, let's go out and support them and see what we have going on. My concern is that over the years, we never know how much we have, and when we bring a property owner in, we say, oh, we don't have that, or we got to wait the next year. Let's do a better job communicating that to the property owners as we go forward. I'm excited about this project. Like Ms. Warren said, this couple has been in the neighborhood. They have done the little things, and they deserve this opportunity. So I'm thankful for this.
Thank you very much. Yes, Ms. Warren.
Briefly, as I look at this and the amount of volume that the family, that the business will need in order to pay back this size loan, I don't see parking addressed in this. Is there a plan to provide parking so that the business can sustain in that capacity?
Thank you, Commissioner Warren. I was really anxious just to get past this process before we really got dug deep into the parking issue, but I'm actively engaged in trying to get some of the surface parking lots improved, and as part of that, a condition that they be available for public use. In this particular instance, as I showed you on one of the maps, Friendship Baptist Church is right down the street from them, and across the street from them to the north is a surface parking area that is highly underutilized, and I have been in negotiation and discussion with them for that parking lot to become available for overflow for this project. And it appears to be moving forward positively.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 21-9.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. In the interest of time, I'd love to hear from the applicant, but we've got two other items to go, so perhaps they can come back another time. We'd love to hear from them. All right, item 7.5, resolution number 21-46, authorizing a facade grant to 7011 North Rosemary, LLC, for improvements at 7011 North Rosemary Avenue. Mr. Roog.
Mayor, Commissioners, Gina Baker is the project manager on this. Very exciting, continuing the progress down Rosemary into the Sunset Lounge, and this is a building improvement effort that is just south of Heart and Soul Park. Gina Baker.
Okay, so real quickly, this project is located in the Northwest District, which is just north of the downtown core. And on this locational map, it's located directly across the street from the Heart and Soul Park, and to the west is the Styx Promenade project, which is coming out of the ground pretty quickly. For the record, I would like to note that the area that's denoted as future park public parking is owned by others. We are in conversations with the owner of that site to hopefully clean up the lot and have it be used for overflow parking and parking for businesses that are directly in close proximity. The subject property is at the corner of 7th and Rosemary, again, right across from the park. I have Alfonso Hernandez, who is the architect of record on this project, present, and he's going to step up and give you a quick overview of the improvements.
Thank you. Which one? Okay, very good. Good afternoon, Commissioners and Mayor. I appreciate having the opportunity here to be able to present this project. My client, Mr. Darnell Gardner, gave me an opportunity to help him in this particular project, and we're very excited what we're going to present here. So basically, as you can see in the front facade, the building is in a deteriorated state at this point. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to the facade, and it's not just the front, but all the sides. And Mr. Darnell Gardner is really making a serious effort to improve this particular building, which is going to be on the other side of the Sunset Lounge. That's going to be very visible. So again, for us, it's an exciting opportunity to show what we can provide here. So let me see if I can get the slide here. Okay, very good. So just to explain, the building actually takes not the entire site, but the south part of the property. And so Mr. Darnell Gardner, he's going to take the south side of that particular property, and it's going to be his corporate office that's going to be located here in the Northwest neighborhood. And in the future, there's obviously a future tenant that's going to be able to come into that area, and that particularly may be a restaurant. And so this future phase 2 is exciting, and that's something that Mr. Gardner is going to be working on. And basically, it's going to include maybe some exterior seating, patio, and a really nice entertainment area on the north side of the property. So moving on, let's see if I can show you the next slide. Sorry.
Sorry, it is a little awkward.
Is it here?
No. It's back. Where's my back slide?
And
Oh, geez, when is it? Yep.
page back?
Yeah, page back.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Gina. Again, part of the vision really is to try to improve the facade, be able to add some new glazing that the client is currently working on. We have canopies, sitting area, as you can see, along the front of the building, and to try to make something that we think is going to be pretty exciting. And so we believe that with some of these improvements, it's going to be a tremendous asset to the community. And again, he's also going to have a future improvement to be able to continue growing on this future phase. So right now, the first phase is really taking care of everything on the facade. There's new stucco, glazing, new doors all along the front, on the sides. And also, he's going to be working on improving the roof as well, which has some damage. And I think for some reason I'm having a problem here. Which one is it?
No, it's back again, page back.
Is it
It's
back?
this one, yeah.
Okay.
All right, yep, it's unfortunately your slides went back, but that's good, thank you.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, we're trying to hurry up through this. So, staff recommends approval of Resolution 21-46, again, CRA District Center City, Downtown, and Commission District 3, Christy Fox. Thank you.
All right, very good. Any questions on this item? All right, I don't have any cards. Now, I do have a card for Mr. Gardner on the next item. Was that supposed to be for this item or the next one?
It's for this one.
It is for
Mr.
this one.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm excited. I pretty much gave a shirt for this property. I have a great vision. I am a commercial broker, mortgage broker also. I'm a licensed general contractor. I have this is a great opportunity for myself and also the community. I didn't know how important that piece of property was, but I'm excited and I'm gonna do the right thing. So,
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 21-46.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. There is no opposition, so motion carries unanimously. All right, very good. Item 7.6.
Datura.
Resolution number 21-59, approving tax increment refunding for workforce housing in an amount not to exceed $9,800,000 for the Datura Residences project. Mr. Rugg.
One moment. Yeah, is that one? I can't see it. It says 58. See, it says 58 on the finance report now. Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, we'll try to hustle on this one. This is our last item for the evening. A while back, the applicant that is building a project, Lanier Group, on Datura Street, is building a wonderful mixed-use project that is very much an infill and great addition to our downtown. And as the project was moving forward, it came in prior to a lot of the workforce housing ordinances and programs that we were pursuing. But as such, the applicant still wanted to show good faith and participate in the workforce housing programs that the city is pursuing. So we've been working with them to provide a tax increment financing incentive to provide that workforce housing. Next slide. So this is the project. Diego is with us from Lanier Group, and he'll talk about the project here shortly. We'll go over a quick overview. I'm going to touch on the term sheet details. Again, the formal agreement will come back to you shortly after, if approved tonight. Diego will go into some of the project details for the new structure, and then we're happy to answer any questions if we have time. Next slide. So real quick, next. Starting from the bottom of the screen is Clematis Street, just north of that is Datura, and the one perpendicular to Clematis Street running along the train station is Quadrille. Around the area in the corners is the City Hall and the police station. You can also see the train station up on the top of the screen. The blue square is Parkline, and where the star is located is the intended project location for the structure on Datura Street. Next. So I did want to take a moment just to talk about some of the strategic goals that are set in some of our documents. In our strategic plan, we do outline workforce housing goals. Next. As well as in our comprehensive plan prioritizing infill redevelopment, which this very much does. Next. It is a very difficult location. It's very tight with some of the new construction, and also there had to have been parcel assemblages. So this is a really good project considering the difficulty because of the location of where it's at centrally in our central business district. Next. And then lastly, with the mixed use, having those really creates that sort of active building that we like to see in our downtown. Next. So being brought to you today in the term sheet is a tax increment financing rebate with the goal of creating more workforce housing. It's not to exceed $9.8 million as outlined in the ACM. It is in Datura Street. Next. So Lanier Group is proposing 35 units, 30 of which will be studios, 5 will be one bedrooms, and the affordability term will be over 26 years. Next. It will include 50% of the taxes generated out of the building for a 16-year period, and to reach that $9.8 million incentive. They will be offered at 100% area median income, and currently those are the price points set by HUD, and that will be constantly monitored by HCD. Next. And with that, I'd like to bring Diego up to talk a little bit about his project real quickly. Thanks, Diego.
Quickly.
Enter button.
So exit, you're going to have to exit it and then open up the, down at the bottom, it's already open in the Acrobat.
Okay, got it. Where is it?
No, it's down, it's already open, Gina.
Sorry, where?
It's already open down at the bottom.
Right here? Is that you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here, there we go. Good afternoon. My name is Diego. I represent the developer, Linear Group. Thank you guys for taking the time and considering this project. I'll just give a very brief overview of the project. This is an actual rendering of our design, which we hope to be taking up to DAC in December, actually. So you guys will hear more about it then. I'll go through this very quickly since I know we have a tight timeline. This slide highlights why we think this is a very important project for the city of West Palm Beach. It's really in between the Rosemary Square area neighborhood and the Clematis Street neighborhood. As Chris pointed out, it is a pretty challenging site because we had to assemble two different properties. On top of that, we're across from an FPL station. We're directly north of Parkline. But yet, it's a very important site because it's in the middle of these two neighborhoods. So by creating something special here, we think we can unify everything into a more walkable and enjoyable downtown. And on top of that, it's directly across from the Brightline station. So it's literally, when people are arriving to West Palm Beach by train, it's the first impression that they'll get about West Palm Beach. Going back a little bit, as Chris mentioned, it's a mixed-use project. It's composed of 180 residential units. Those are on the top floors here. The workforce housing units will be completely integrated into those units. They'll share with the same amenities as the rest of the project. The hotel component, it's actually along the podium. It's covering up part of the garage and it's facing the Brightline station. We hope to announce what hotel brand it's going to be soon. It's something very exciting that we've been working on, but it is an upscale hotel, upscale lifestyle boutique hotel, which we think the city of West Palm Beach currently lacks. The hotel lobby will be facing the Brightline station. We'll also have an F&B outlet, a food and beverage outlet facing directly at Brightline station, which we think will be a very nice amenity for people who may arrive to the station a little bit early and want to catch a drink or a bite, or people who are just arriving to West Palm Beach. We will also have a rooftop bar, which we think will be very exciting. Just looking at the ground floor a little bit, what we think is important is that facing the Brightline station will be all active uses. So going from south to north, we have a restaurant, then we have the hotel lobby, then we have the residential lobby, and this area here will be public space, which will have a water feature and sort of a park-looking area that we think will really activate the tourists. So 100% of the facade facing Quadrille Plaza will be active use, as well as 70% of the facade facing the tourist street. These are some renderings of what we envision this is going to look like. This is based on the actual design of the project. Some reference images. Again, for the ground floor, we think the experience of getting to West Palm Beach by train and being greeted by a restaurant with outdoor seating, people enjoying and really maximizing the lifestyle that the city offers will be a very welcoming experience. And on the rooftop as well, these are some reference images of what we think that space is going to look like.
All right. Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So very quick summary. So we think, number one, it's providing an offering that the city currently lacks. West Palm Beach doesn't currently have a boutique hotel. We think it's going to be a great amenity to the neighborhood and to the office tenants directly to the south in 360 Rosemary and the rest of Rosemary Square. We think it's going to be a welcome mat to West Palm Beach. As Chris mentioned, he went into a little bit of detail of the agreement, but it's 35 workforce housing units, rent restricted for 26 years at 100% of AMI. Those are, I'm sure you guys have tracked what's happened to rents in West Palm Beach, in downtown West Palm Beach recently, but it's hard to believe how high some of the rents have gotten. I've been looking at some of the comps in Oversea, Parkline, and Solid directly across from our site, and it's actually some of the highest rents we've seen in all of South Florida. There's obviously a very strong financial incentive for the city of West Palm Beach, an additional of 9.8 in incremental property taxes, as well as 3.6 million in government fees. And lastly, we're creating 65 new full-time jobs to the hotel, as well about 30,000
guests that will visit every year and spend in the local economy. I think that's
Excellent.
it.
Thank you very much. Very exciting. Any questions, comments? Commissioner Shove.
One quick one. Thank you, Mayor. So the affordability term is 26 years. The TIF is for 16 years. Is that because it's the life of the CRA?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And so the idea is that, I see we're going from 30 to 50. There's no increase in density, but the number works out the same in $9 million over 16 years, which would provide the appropriate incentive.
Correct, yeah, because we anticipated it based on the calculation that Diego shared with me, and I concurred with it, and then that's why we said if he happens to reach that number sooner, then obviously we've met the obligation, so that it does have a cap, and it's just not for the full 16 years. It's got a specific amount.
But we still get 26 years of affordability on 35
Correct.
units. All right, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 21-59.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And this is, because I did skip it before, do we have any comments from the public on general items? Because I forgot to ask for that earlier. Anything in the portal? Okay, fine. This meeting is adjourned. We will reconvene as a city commission at 5:08 p.m. Thank you.